Hi, in today's video, I'm going to try to let real estate agents get a glimpse of what it takes to be a top team leader. In order to do that, I actually talked to many of the top agents in the Triangle, and I'm going to bring you back what I think is their strong features and how they have made it so successful year after year after year. Because at some point in your career, when you become successful, you're going to have to decide, do I just get an assistant and stay solo, or do I actually get buyer's agents and just work on the listings, or what size team would I like to have? What are my goals and my motivations to start a team? And in order to do that, I wanted to go to the people that are really making this industry and the team aspect of real estate work for them. What works, what have they learned, and what's their main ingredient? What's their main ingredient? What's their magic formula? How do they do it so well? And of course, the first one that I went to is a friend of mine, Jim Allen from Coldwell Banker. Jim has been in real estate for years, but I just have to tell you about his personality, because he's not just a real estate agent. He's a developer. He's an entrepreneur. He's really taken real estate to a highest level that you can even imagine. I think people would have a hard time thinking as big as Jim thinks. He's very driven. He's very focused. He's also family oriented. He's bold and decisive. He's everything you would expect a major leader in any industry to be. And he is a leader, and he is a very giving person. If you have a problem or if you have a challenge in land or new construction, you could call Jim and he would tell you just exactly what you needed to do, and he would give you great advice. When it comes to his real estate team, he's just, as I said, he's taking it to a different level. He feels that flexibility is absolutely imperative, because you can't make everyone fit into the same mold. So when he's hiring talented agents for his team, he really plays to their strengths. And when you begin to hire people, you'll find out that they have different strengths and different areas that you would turn to that person to make a particular play that you're working on. So he has a lot of flexibility to adjust to new personalities. He's willing to adjust to those personalities to fit them in their team if they're worth it. And the main thing that he looks for when he interviews a new team agent is, are they willing to go for a team rather than go for their own ego? And that really is the question that all of us need to ask, whether we're a team leader or whether we're a team player, is how much are we willing to let go of our own ego in this business? He doesn't have any agent of the month. It's all about the team for Jim Allen. And he is primarily concerned with how well his team members get along with each other. He says that they enjoy belonging and that they actually seek structure. And he knows that, and he provides that to a very high level. So Jim is really somebody to admire and emulate. The next person I talked to was actually Rachel Kendall, and what a great conversation that was, and I got a chance to get to know Rachel a little bit better, and Rachel has a different approach. Out of everybody that I talked to, I was probably most impressed by her high degree of organization. She's got a team that has minimum standards. They have to be 20 sales per year, hopefully 24, between 20 and 24. She says that her team is competitive, but they're not competitive with one another. She does an incredible job running a functioning team at a very high level, and she's not involved every minute because she's got the structure that will hold her team accountable. And on top of all that, she said that the structure actually came and evolved from her own team members wanting to work with people, other people, like-minded people that were as committed to this industry and had the work ethic as their main team did. And so she's grown over the years, and she admitted to me that she had no life in real estate for 10 years, which I think a lot of us would commit to. But things have changed for her now, and she's really got it down to a fine oiled machine. She's someone to emulate because she's able to run her business with systems, and there's really systems for every aspect of her business. So she invites certain agents to be on her team. She does not recruit. She has a series of meetings with the agents that are considering coming to her, and it's kind of a reciprocal thing where she interviews them and they also interview her, and she gives them a sense of what's expected so that they can get to know each other. And one of the favorite things that Rachel said that I so agree with, she said that most agents want to make full-time money with part-time work, and haven't we all seen that happen? But Rachel has devised a system that works for her and her team. So she says the only time that she regrets is when she compromises. And I assumed that to mean that maybe she hired somebody that she had a few more doubts about, and she should have tested that water a little bit more. Rachel is also a giver, which I don't know whether I mentioned that about Jim, but I found that to be true about both Jim Allen and Rachel. They give back to the community on a very, very high level. Rachel is very involved with the Ronald McDonald House for Children, and she loves that part of her life. So she gives back, and she is awesome. The next superstar on my list of people that I talked to was Angie Cole, and she is pure energy. I mean, that gal is all about the team and a close-knit, tight team. She keeps extreme communication with each member of her team, and she believes in doing things outside of real estate together with her team. So she believes heavily in creating a lot of leads for her team, and she's always open to new lead sources, which if you lead a team, you're going to need that aspect of your personality developed. She also has an open door policy. Angie says if it's definitely not her way or the highway, she is open to suggestions on how her team can improve, and she believes in being flexible and open to change. She is just high energy. She's high energy herself. She's full of enthusiasm for herself and her team in this business. She is extremely positive, very upbeat, and she's a great agent to have on the other side of the deal, because I've had the pleasure of having Angie Cole on the other side of the deal, and she was a pleasure to work with. The next top producer I want to talk to you about is Christina Valkanoff. She's a realtor, she's an entrepreneur, she's a top agent, and just she's pure class. She is somebody you really want to emulate if you want to grow in this business and become a team leader and a top producer. And one of Christina's top core beliefs is she wants to surround herself with those who share her core beliefs. And I'm sure she has an interviewing process as well. She's had people with her for a very long period of time. She says it takes lots of work and lots of heart to be really great in this business, and I would agree with her on that. She said you got to take care of yourself in all aspects of your life, and knowing Christina, I feel confident to say, and she's talking about mentally, spiritually, physically, and training in real estate. So she takes care of her body, mind, spirit, everything to be the motivation so that she can show up at a higher level. And I found that interesting. I wonder how many agents are even interested in showing up every day for work at a very high level. Christina is. And one of the other things that I thought was just great about the way that Christina thinks is, she said the ultimate goal of a team is to provide a higher level of service to the client customer. That is what we're in business to do. And she also says that part of any team is to give the person in that position, whatever it is, inside sales agent, support team, give them ownership of that position. So they also are interested in showing up at a very high level. And Christina definitely has the systems and exhibits the quality of life. She's got a young, growing family. And I would tell you for sure that her family is not neglected. She has probably one of the best balances of anybody I know in this industry. So next, I talked to Brian Waborski. And Brian is just comes from a real estate family, and he is big on communication. He communicates with buyers and sellers, and he keeps talking, he keeps on working the deal together. And one of the things I liked about Brian is when he said, you know, if they don't say anything really contemptible to me, and if they haven't hung up on me on the telephone, I'm still trying to work the deal out even after a fall through. So he continues with that persistent, positive, pleasant personality, and he wins through that personality and his persistent communication. He's got a never give up attitude. And of course, you cannot talk to Brian Wyborski without talking to one of the big icons in our industry, Phyllis Wyborski. And Phyllis is just a work of art, really, in our industry. She was the first big agent in this market. Her name, household word for just years and years. And so I said, Phyllis, what is your secret? And she said, well, it's my down-to-earth personality. And she makes people laugh. She is comfortable with anybody. She keeps the customer, and her deal is that you keep the customer before the deal always when you're dealing in real estate. And Phyllis is not your average real estate agent. She says they will remember me. She uses a lot of shock factor in the business. So the next agent I want to talk to you about is Thomas Wall. And Thomas Wall is actually an individual agent, but he's also a trainer in real estate. He trains team, he trains the people that works on teams, and he's been a high producer in our market for really years and years. Thomas Wall came from Hungary. He's a tall guy that has just that hint of an accent, and he personifies class, dignity, and somebody you want to do business with. So Thomas says to run a really great team, you got to have team spirit. You've got to have the mentality of you want to run a high producing team, and you got to hold that team leader as the highest standard. In other words, you can't lead people where you've never been. So the leader is always on stage and is always accountable to their people. He says there can be no favoritism in a team. There's got to be lots of equality. He said lead generation has got to be there to support the team. But his big deal is accountability. He really believes that real estate agents as a whole don't have the accountability that you would have in a high-paying job, like if you work for maybe Red Hat or some big corporation. So he believes that you've got to have a lot of personal attention to the team. You got to be training them all the time, and that the level of motivation has got to be high. And he believes that there should be no secrets in a team. Everybody should be open and as close as possible. The next agent I got the pleasure of talking to was Tammy Harris of the Tammy Harris team. And I've known Tammy for a long time. And Tammy does a lot of great things for her business, for her team, and for her community. She's just somebody that when she walks in the room, it lightens up. And Tammy said her number one thing when she's choosing agent, when she's training agents, she said their mindset's got to be right. And she said something kind of surprising. She said, Hitler had a mindset. He had a vision for where he was going, and he used it for a very negative thing, to get rid of people and to do the horrible things that he did. Said, but you've got to develop a vision and a mindset for something very positive in your future. She said the second thing is you got to care about people, and you got to develop yourself to like people. I have people in my life, in my family that just don't really like people a lot. And Tammy was gifted with the ability. I think she loves people right from the beginning, and it shows. And she's got no preconceived ideas about who can do what and should I talk to this person. She is just open and genuine. So she said, treat people like you want to be treated. And isn't that the truth? She said her personal strength is just to remember the times she's failed and try to learn something from those times, and remember the times that she's succeeded and bring those times into focus every time she faces something new. So when she sees past circumstances, she takes the time to analyze it. So when you go through your life as a real estate agent, you'll have some successes and you'll have some losses, and as I've told my agents, you learn more from the losses, unfortunately, than you ever do from the successes. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. So Renee Hillman is also a top team leader, just a very genuine person. She said, what makes a good team leader is someone that your team can count on being a good example. And she believes in empowering her team with the ability to make sound decisions in her absence, or she puts people in position that she trusts to make decisions. And I'm sure all these team leaders do that same thing. She thinks that critical thinking skills are really, really important to being successful. And she believes in having others aligned with your core values. We've heard that before, and your ethics can be absolutely undisputable, must be at a high level. She has open lines of communications with her entire team. She believes in collaboration and the ability to share ideas. And she, of course, wants to support and build each other and have a culture for everyone on the team to succeed, and the willingness to put the work in. So, what has all of this taught us? You know, I've been following Real Trends with Steve Murray for a very long time, and he has studied not only large teams but real estate companies and why they succeed and why they fail. So he said there's 3 reasons that a business will fail. That's your business, your team's business, or your company's business. And the first reason they fail is they're just to get dismissive of their competition. And honestly, I find that to be happening a little bit with companies thinking about when new companies came in town. I remember when RE/MAX came in town in the 90s, people were just up in arms. They were so dismissive of this company, and then of course they were dismissive of KW, and now they're dismissive of EXP. But it comes from a position. The second reason that teams fail is they become overly proud and arrogant on what they've accomplished. And here's the thing about sales. It's always, what have you done for me today? It's not yesterday that matters. You can't live on yesterday's accomplishments. You got to be ready for the game, up for the action today. And then the third thing that makes businesses, real estate teams, and people fail is they're distracted by their own PR. They start believing their own press, and believe me, that's a dangerous, dangerous thing. Of course, the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, said the absence of trust and false harmony and fear of conflict will stop a lot of teams from succeeding at a high level. And then the lack of commitment. And of course, I see that so much. And people, when you're the boss, sometimes they'll look to your face and they'll act like they're really buying into what the team's trying to do, the vision that the boss or the leader is trying to create. But they're just ducking everywhere they can, and they're really avoiding responsibility. And the final dysfunction is inattention to results. Focus on personal success, status, and ego before the team's success. And boy, I've seen that a lot lately. And just to finish up, my adventure at being a team leader started early with my first assistant and then buyer's agents. And I think trust is one of the biggest abilities. One of the biggest abilities is availability. I've worked with my top buyer's agent for over 20 years. And Daphne is an independent leader on her own, but she's somebody that you can throw the ball to and they will make the shot, which this is a sport that I do every day called real estate sales. So she's very dependable. She is another trait that I think is really, really important that I saw weaving through the traits of these top team leaders was they were a giver. People are either a giver or a consumer of life. And when you come from a giving position, you go much farther. So you grow in character, you're serious about keeping growing. I heard a saying one time said either you're green and growing or you're ripe and rotten. So we don't want to be ripe and rotten, we want to be green and growing. And another one of my really big things is just the power of today. And the power of today, to me, is more important even than yearly goals. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have that, but I am telling you that if you don't learn how to squeeze the most productivity out of a single day, you'll never put 2 good days together. You'll never put 3 good days together. You'll never put a week together until you learn the value of making a day just the most productive it can be. And I've said this saying 1,000 times to my team, is a great real estate agent can walk into an office and nothing been going on, none of those, the phones, it's dead, nothing's happening. And that great agent can pick up the phone. By the sheer energy that they put in the business, they can make things happen. They can put people together and make sales occur. So never forget from me the power of today. And have daily goals that you just don't, they're like a minimum standard. You don't go home until you've talked to a certain amount of people. And that's pretty much it for top team leader traits. I hope this helps you a little bit in deciding whether or not to have a team, start a team, be a team leader, because I've got a little shock for you. It's not less work, it's actually more work. So if you do decide to go that way, be very thoughtful about whether you want to get in that arena or not. And I thank you for joining me today. I hope these team traits have helped you of top producers. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.